Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of Redesign Your Life Today. I'm Daniel Kobryner. I'm your podcast host, and I'm a mental fitness coach. I help people uncovering what's blocking them from living the best life they can and rewiring the brain so that they live with in harmony, clarity, and with passion. And this podcast is about transformation. It's about sharing stories, transformational stories, which can inspire. And at the end of the story, if there is something which resonates with you, this will be wonderful. And today, I'm very blessed because I have a very special guest with us. It's Frank Campbell. Frank has a very interesting story. I mean, he's worked all his life. He's a specialist in life insurance, and he knows everything about that. And Frank retired, and then he decided that he wanted to bring something more to the world. So, without further ado, I'm just going to hand it over to you, Frank. Again, very welcome to the show. And can you please introduce yourself? What's your story, Frank?
Hi, Daniel. Thank you again for letting me join you.
You're very
Um,
welcome.
Transformations, yes. I had a good career as a traditional financial advisor doing investments and insurance for business owners. And after 3 decades, I quit. I retired. It was fun, but I said, I'm going to retire and have fun for myself now. And I made a list of 30 things I haven't done in 30 years.
Mhm.
And then I started doing them. This was great. But there was this one little nagging thing in the back of my head. I had this idea because people don't really understand the benefits of life insurance and the things they need to know. And I decided that I could make a difference. I could do it differently than everybody else, which was my first challenge because I went to my advisors and my friends and told them what I wanted to do. And they said, that's never going to work. You can't do that, which steeled my resolve. I did it because you told me I couldn't do it. But I had to change everything because the message is I want to review your existing policies and make sure they're going to be there for your beneficiary because most policies never make it. Um, and the tools I needed weren't in place. So I set up an office and started hang out my shingle and said, well, now what do I do? Um, and I had to reinvent everything. I didn't realize it at the time. It was going to take me about 3 years to get to the point where I could review a policy efficiently
Mhm.
and 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 still make a profit at a modest cost. So you don't have to pay much, but I don't have 3 hours in it either with the systems that we have. Well, the systems made it a success. But to a point you were talking about earlier, um, I needed a team.
Mhm.
And there's a saying I've heard that I like that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Mhm.
And I had to relearn that because I thought I'd start out on my own. Now I have a great team. They're all involved in my mission, and we're going forward. Uh, and I can, because of the systems we put in place, do it profitably and provide a service that people can't easily get. Uh, it's sort of like, let me look at your car and maybe I can sell you a new one. Maybe I can look at your policy and it's not really a review of the policy, it's a prelude to a sales pitch. And
Mhm.
that turns people off. I understand that. So I had to put together a program where you knew that this was specifically something that you can't get easily anywhere else. And as I said, it took me about 3 years to put all the technology in place and get the team in place so that we could do that and then prove to the world that I can do something that they can't easily find anywhere else and it benefits them.
Right. Well, very interesting, Frank. And so the way I understand it, it's like, first of all, you do like an audit of the policy, right? Yeah. So where you go through everything and it's like the first part, even so, and of course, with your experienced eye, you can spot where the pitfalls could be. Am I correct?
That's exactly it. And if I can give you an analogy, Dave or Daniel, um, I like old cars,
Right. Okay.
and I have a mechanic I've used for years now who knows I don't really want to know about the details. I just say, here's my car. I'm going to drive to Amarillo and back, and I don't want any problems. So let me know when it's ready to go. And over 15 or 20 years, I've never had a breakdown on the road with one of my old cars uh, because he does what he's supposed to do. I drop the car off. He calls me 2 days later and says, you're ready to go. You can make it to Amarillo and back. Well, that's my vision of what I'm doing for the policies is I'm just looking at it and making sure that it's going to be there. So it's not made up. It's like we go to the issuing company and get specific information on that policy, and then we translate it into English so that you have an idea that, yeah, you know what? That policy's safe. It's going to be here for Mildred, and it'll make it to Amarillo and back. Uh,
Right. Okay. So what happens is, I suppose, so people, contact you and then they send you this policy, perhaps by email and then you have obviously, I suppose, there is a charge for that, I suppose, and you review it and afterwards you give them comments. Yeah.
we give them a complete breakdown of what's right with the policy,
A complete
and if
breakdown.
there's
Yes.
anything to be concerned about, we list that as well in the comments, and then we'll grade the policy. It's like it's going to be good. We'll give you a gold star and we'll rate it a number one. And if there's issues, what does it take to become number one? And a lot of times it's just simple things that people overlook, a beneficiary arrangement, or they've added some children, or the business has grown beyond the value of the policy.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. 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 So,
And so we just make sure we tune it up and that you have confidence that it's got unconditional guarantees that will get you to do the policy. It has unconditional guarantees so that you know your beneficiary is going to receive the money when they need to. The money will be there when they need it. Um, and so I put that together, and then people didn't uh, people really didn't respond right away because it's so different. Wait a minute, I'm different, guys. It's like hold off. Uh, and I began to build up a following. And honestly, Daniel, one of the things that's made it different since COVID is how digitally I can talk. I'm in California and I can have a nice Zoom meeting with somebody in London. Uh, and we've incorporated the system so that we can do this around the country. And it works very well. I'm actually quite pleased. I'm more pleased than when I was doing my 30 things.
exactly. So what happens is, yeah, of course, your meetings, I guess you have meetings like this on Zoom, on Teams with people, like so that you have perhaps you send them for something, they have a look, and then there's like an oral review so that can people ask you questions and you can go more into details about this breakdown of all the points. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Uh, I never had to sit on the side of the road waiting for a tow truck when I was on my trips.
Well,
And and my clients never have to end up figuratively with a beneficiary sitting by the side of the road waiting for a tow truck. When we review the policies, you know exactly what you have and what it takes to get there.
mhm.
And then
No,
we've done our job.
yeah, it's great. And you see, before you mentioned something, and perhaps if we can go a little more further, because obviously in this podcast, there are people from all over the world. So, I mean, you are based in the US, so I don't know if you can help people all over or if it's more US based. But for instance, I think it would be nice perhaps to kind of speak about the biggest, for instance, pitfalls or errors to avoid. You mentioned something before, and this rang a bell. It means, for instance, if if the value of the policy is not enough, has not been reviewed, and obviously afterwards, when there's a claim, the insurance will only be paid on the original value. So this is one area. I don't know if you want to expand on that, and something which is global, because obviously people have these kind of policies all over the world. What are really like the most important points to look at?
Well, before we look at the amount of the insurance, what we're doing, Daniel, is looking at the actual contract to make sure that it's healthy.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
And and at the same time, if you have a business that's growing, your value is going up.
Hmm.
If you and I are in business together, let's say it's a $10 million business and you own 5 million and I own 5 million, and our talents complement each other, well, we're going along doing just fine. And then all of a sudden, I decide to take up hang gliding. And suddenly I'm not here. And now you've got this business. You have two problems. The first problem is, how do you replace me?
Hmm.
And the second thing is, guess what? You now have a liability to my family for the $5 million to buy me out. To your point, if you have a $2 million policy on me, that's going to go to my wife, and you're going to have to finance the other 3 million,
Hmm.
or you're going to have to pay it out of cash flow, or you're going to have to borrow it. And and if we review the policy, we'll tell you that it's what it takes. And then we'll ask, is 2 million really enough?
Hmm.
Because we started the business 12 years ago and now it's doing really well. It wasn't worth 10 million, it was worth 2,
Hmm.
but we've grown. So is it still going to do what you want? Is a great question.
Yeah. Mhm. So this is one point. Other points as well, you were talking about the beneficiaries, and just a question. It's, obviously circumstances change, some people divorce, get remarried, and all that. So I'm correct in thinking that this is quite important as well to look well at beneficiaries.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The most common thing we run across is beneficiary arrangements that aren't either current or aren't maximized.
Uh-huh.
And uh, sometimes the second wife finds out that the first wife is still the beneficiary.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Not much you can do about it then. Um, so, how about if we make sure that it's doing what you want it to do today?
Mhm.
Um, uh, there was one policy that we reviewed recently, and the beneficiary was his wife and his 2 children. The problem was he had 3 children. After the policy was reviewed or purchased, he never reviewed it again. And then they had another baby, and that baby wasn't on the policy. So because we discovered that, it's an easy fix and change the beneficiary. You don't need a lawyer, and you still get the money. So there is that.
Just this tip for everybody listening, so important. Remember, look at the beneficiaries and look at the policies, and
Yeah. In fact, Daniel, after I put this together and it was working right, my business advisor said, you should write a book. And I said, what am I going to put in the book? And he said, just talk about what's important in the policy and put it in English so that people can understand.
Mhm.
Okay, so I thought about it because I'd never written a book before. And it needs to be easy, but the truth is, you don't need me to make a decision for you. You're good at making decisions for yourself.
Mhm.
But what I provide is the ability for you to make an informed decision because you've got all the information and you understand it. So it took me quite a while, but I put this book together. It's called How to Do a Proper Policy Review. No Beneficiary Left Behind. And it's on Amazon. And I said, before I published the book, I said, what I did here is I gave away all my secrets. So whatever you need to know about the policies and the issues to look at, it's in this little ebook that doesn't take a lot of time to read. Uh, and I've gotten good results on it. Everybody enjoys it. And when people find out they could do this stuff, but we can do it for them, it's the same thing as I could change the carburetor on my old car, but I'd rather take it to my mechanic and just pick it up when it's running right.
Exactly. And you see what comes to mind when you say is that, you said, oh, yeah, what about if I'm giving all my secrets away? But actually, as you know, on a spiritual level, when you share from your heart, you share without expecting anything in return. You just share because you love to share. And what happens is you are going to open doors for opportunities. I said people who would not even have thought about this. They read your ebook and they think, oh wow, it's really interesting. I would like, of course, personal advice. So this is how it works. You see, people who retain information for themselves, thinking information is power, energetically, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's why, life is really about that. I've written a small ebook as well. It's about procrastination and how to overcome it. And it's just if it can help one person with one thing, this is great.
Exactly. And every week we get to help several people and know that we've just done some good in the world and go home feeling that we made a difference in the world today.
Yeah, and we just had a little chat before that, and I think this is something very important for us, Frank. How can we make a difference?
Yes.
I mean, you had a career, a long career, similar on my side as well. I was in international sales in management, and what I'm doing now is something which is above myself. It's really helping people living the best life they can and overcoming the challenges they
Yes.
have, and it's very fulfilling. And when you do it really from a place of care, from a place of love, this is how your life is becomes very, very easy. It flows.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And perhaps you can tell us about perhaps, since you started this business, you had some really nice encounters with some of your clients who perhaps, became friends or who share some stories. I don't know if there's anything which comes to mind where you think, oh, wow, this was really great, independently from the business side.
Well, part of it is I get to meet really interesting people because these people are concerned about their family and or their business. They're concerned about their future.
Mhm.
And Daniel, it's good to hang around with people that have a good positive outlook and faith in the future and and give them hope. Um, that example I gave you about the business is not fictional. We did a review for a business and it was a $10 million business.
Mhm.
They had the right amount of insurance, they had the right documents in place. And all we ended up doing was verifying that, yes, you're good, it's validated. Go about your business. And like anybody else, they said, I'm never going to need that, but at least I have it. And one of the business owners died unexpectedly. He was the healthiest 60-year-old you'll ever see.
Hmm.
And he died in an accident. And because the planning had been put in place, the business could continue on without being choked with a big debt. The insurance paid the provided the money for the wife, and the insurance provided a little extra money so that the partner had time and some capital to find the right person to replace his partner that he'd lost. If you were a customer of that business, it continued on seamlessly and is continuing to grow. Uh, and every time I drive by that business and see the sign there, it feels really good that I I made a difference with what we did.
Well, thank you for sharing this story. And you see, again, I can relate very much with this because, of course, there is this conception with people that, oh, insurance, oh, it's expensive, whatever it is. But obviously, it's like people have to remember that it's, of course, that's what you pay now. It's a premium, fine. But what's going to happen if the issue arises? And this is when afterwards people can have regrets. They tried to save and they didn't read all the small lines, and one thing was not covered, and all of a sudden insurance doesn't pay. So at least it's really, I think, awareness as well that of course it's got to be reviewed. It's got to make sense as well. And the great thing is when you review these policies, of course, there's always premiums attached to this, and you're able to tell your clients if the amount makes sense or not, because obviously there are different providers on the market, and today people can compare. So obviously you don't want to pay really too much, versus what the market price is, but at least they can come up with this peace of mind that, yes, I'm well covered, like this company was, which the 10 million companies you mentioned before.
Yes, yes. And then you can focus on the things that are really important, knowing that you don't have the wind at your back. You're safe. And and the key thing to it, insurance is so complex, and there's policies with unconditional guarantees, and there's policies with conditional guarantees.
Right. Okay.
And hardly anybody understands which one they have. But if you look at it properly and you understand it, then you know where you're going forward. Um, but it's so complicated. It's like, I don't want to learn all of that. If I go to my doctor, I just want to know that I'm okay. I don't want to know all the details.
Exactly. And
So, yeah, so just tell me, Doc, am I okay for another year? Uh,
yeah.
well, in order to do that for my clients, I have to do it in English. I have to do it in simple language. So our product ended up being a one-page summary that we've
Mhm.
designed that puts everything you need to know about the contract in one page, and a 12-year-old can understand it. Uh, so that's probably my special, that's certainly our goal. I hope it's my special sauce. Uh, if you know what you have, then you can feel good about it. And if it's not good, we can help you fix it. Uh,
Absolutely. And you see, I've got a question which comes to mind. Obviously, today AI is everywhere. So tell me, in your business, Frank, have you been able to get support, from AI really customized to the services in terms of reviewing, etc.? Is there any tool there which you can, which has been helpful for you?
um, I use it in the background for information to look for different things, but I don't have anything. I haven't thought of anything, Daniel, that AI can do for me
Okay.
that our systems do. So I'd love it if I could get AI to deal with the existing companies and make it easier to get the information on your contract from them. Uh, when they do that, I'm in. I'll be one of the first subscribers. we have to reach the companies, we have to chase them, we have to make them give the information the way that we need it.
Hmm.
And um, AI is used more in the issue of new policies. I haven't seen anything in my field where it's going to be helpful in reviewing existing policies.
Okay, right. Now I'm asking the question because sometimes, you take ChatGPT, you feed in one document and you ask ChatGPT for a review. And I have to say, I've tried it, with a few things, not to, and it was quite amazing as well. It just like, it could be a PowerPoint presentation. It's there. It's so okay. And and do you think in the future there will be, or do you hear of other people using it in your industry? AI or not really from.
There is, and especially with the companies themselves are using a lot of AI, and it's easier to underwrite a new policy than it used to be.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Um, I had a policy we wrote on a 52-year-old attorney, and the she was in good health, and we wrote down the medical records and sent in the application. And because of AI, they issued the policy the next day. We didn't even need an exam because all the parameters that the AI set up fell into place. And I was shocked. It's like, come on, don't you want to have an exam? They said, no, we're good. Here it is, just the
Well,
way we wanted it.
you see.
So in that aspect, the AI is good.
Okay.
Uh, uh, and I'm open to it.
Yeah, of
If I
course. No,
stick
no.
around long enough, I'll find some good ways to use it in my business.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm just asking because obviously it starts to being so widespread and in all areas. And as you said, sometimes to get information, choose about anything, I find it fascinating. It's but of course we have to remember it's a tool and it's based on obviously information which is on the net. It goes and scans the net very quickly, but we still have to be careful because not everything is accurate. It depends on what's there out there. So,
Right. But it is a good tool on the first cut to get information on a policy that's within a particular company. If I want to know more about the company, and there's a lot of changes going on in our
exactly,
world.
exactly.
Uh, so AI does help me evaluate the company more effectively and easier. It does save time that way.
Okay. Now this is very good to know. And Frank, I would like to go back to the start of our conversation, if I may, for 1 second,
Yes, sir.
because I was very intrigued. You mentioned you worked for 30 years, you retired, and you made a list of 30 different points, and you said we arrived. But if it's all right with you, I'd like you to share, to inspire our listeners, what are some of the things, just a few of them, you pick, but really you said, okay, you really wanted to do, and you did when you retired.
Well, I'll share two, Daniel.
Yeah, sure, yeah, sure.
The first one is Route 66.
Okay,
Route 66, I live a mile from it.
really?
And
Oh, wow.
I grew up around it when it wasn't all freeways. So I've always been interested in Route 66. And you take an old car or two and you go on Route 66, you're going to have a good time.
Absolutely,
So
yes.
I did a lot of that. In fact, that trip to Amarillo was it's there's a place outside Amarillo called the Midpoint Cafe.
Okay,
And I read about it. Uh, some guy came in one day and said, "Do you realize that you're halfway between Chicago and Los Angeles? This is the midpoint of Route 66." And they said, "No, I didn't know that." And it's become an icon. They have buses now that pull up in front of this little coffee shop from around the
oh,
world.
right,
And so I wanted to go there. So a buddy of mine and I took our Corvettes and we went to Amarillo and then came back and stopped at the Midpoint Cafe.
very nice.
So much fun and enjoying the cars and the beautiful weather and the view. The view in New Mexico is especially nice. Uh, but The second thing, my wife still smiles when I bring this up. I've always been a big fan of Benjamin Franklin. I think I've read everything that Benjamin Franklin ever wrote. If I think I have, if I find more, I'll read that too. And my daughter went to college in Philadelphia.
Okay.
So we'd go back to Philadelphia to visit, but we never really had the time to do the sights and see Ben Franklin. And I made a point of one of these days, I'm going to have a meeting in Philadelphia and I'll stay longer and I'll go to the Ben Franklin compound and absorb it. And I never did. So it was one Sunday night, and I've been doing my 30 things. And my wife says over dinner Sunday night, she says, "Well, what are you going to do next week?" Now, she's a CPA and it's tax season, so she's not going to be around. She doesn't miss me. I never understood that, Daniel. If she goes away, I miss her right away. If I go away, she doesn't miss me until Thursday. But so she said, Sunday night, what are you going to do this week? I said, I think I'm going to go to Philadelphia. And she said, okay, when are you going to go? I said, I thought I'd go tomorrow. And she said, okay, when will we be back? I said, Thursday or Friday. She said, good. So I did. I'm an hour from LAX. I drove down to Los Angeles. I got a flight right to Philadelphia, and I found a beautiful boutique hotel halfway between Franklin Square and the Maritime Museum there, where they have a
Mhm.
submarine. You see that right
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there? I was a crew member on a submarine, and that type of submarine is there in Philadelphia. So it was like, cool. I can go to Franklin Square. I can go visit the boat. And I had a lovely time. And I lingered over all of the exhibits. And then one of the high points, first of all, it's just uplifting to be able to do that on the spur of the moment. Uh, but Benjamin Franklin's old post office is now a bookstore.
Hmm. Okay.
And I got to go in, and there was this fellow with a lot of gray hair like me behind the counter. And he said, "Can I help you?" And I said, "Sure." We chatted. Turns out he was a retired history professor from a college professor. And he was working there, making the world better for other people, like I guess I do now. We had a lovely chat for about an hour and 15 minutes. And it was uplifting and enjoyable and memorable. And when I'd done everything I wanted to do, then I caught a plane and came home. Checked it off the list, and now I got to go to number 27.
Well, thank you very much for sharing. It's beautiful story, beautiful, and like you can, we can see, your eyes sparkling when you tell the story, Frank. And see, for everybody listening here, it's very important that, we all have dreams. We all have things we really want to do. And particularly if we have a passion and something we really would like to do, we've not done it. Remember, it's never too late. You can start now, even take a first step, because sometimes, right, we think we're going to do it later in life, right? We don't know what life is made of. Well, you were mentioning this example about somebody, passing away unexpectedly. We don't know that. So whatever this list, do it as soon as possible. And when you can do things, do it. Because you see, as well, and I know, you see, in the US, obviously, there's this very hard, let me say, working culture where people work, as I say, half time, which is 12 hours a day. You mentioned it, Frank, yourself.
Yeah,
It's like half time, right? Remember as well that life goes quickly, and there's a family, there's friends, and let's make sure that we enjoy every moment of life and that we
yes,
look after ourselves as well, not on a selfish point of view, but we need, in order to make people happy, we need to be happy ourselves. It means looking after ourselves physically, mentally, spiritually. And when we
yeah,
do that, this is when we get more peace and we really live the life we want to do. So just a little reminder What's your take on that, Frank?
My take on that, it's exactly right. And uh, I feel I feel younger now than I did when I retired because I'm inspired and uplifted. And the other thing, Daniel, it's really nice to say I want to do this, but it's so satisfying to find out, hey, I was right. It really works. And I get a great deal of satisfaction for that. And that helps me get up in the morning and look forward to
Yeah,
another day.
exactly. And thank you for sharing that because actually yeah, about this point, sometimes we really want to do something and people try to discourage us from doing it,
Oh
right?
yeah.
But, but,
Yeah.
but you see, it's not always, it's not like they don't, they don't want us to do, but what happens is this comes from a position of fear of doubt from the other person. It's got nothing to do with us. It's just people reflecting onto us their own insecurities, their fears, their doubts, sometimes the childhood trauma. It's all about that. So when it happens, we can listen to it, say thank you. But if there is something we really feel like doing, it's within ourselves. It's our instinct told us to do it, then we do it because it's our life. It's not the other person's life. So it's something to remember because sometimes just because one person told you it's not going to work, you stop. No. If you really believe in that, do it. Go for it full time, full. Because what's the worst thing which can happen in life? It's not, at the end of your life, imagine you are going to pass away. And when people were interviewed about do, what, what are they, do they have any regrets in life? It was
Ah,
never
yes.
about some things which they did and didn't turn out the way they wanted. Because everything in life is an experience. For me, failure doesn't exist. We try things, sometimes it doesn't give us exactly the right results, and we do something else.
Yeah.
But what people regret the most is things they really wanted to do and they never did.
That's
So,
absolutely right. Absolutely.
so
And
yeah.
I need you to share that with my daughter, though. I mentioned, she went to college in Philadelphia and had a nice career. Uh, I'm the only person I know who has a child who retired before they did. And she's got a lovely life with her family. And they say, Dad, how come you're still working? I said, because I'm doing good. Well, don't you want to cut back? I said, I'll quit when it isn't fun anymore. And they tolerate that, but and
Well, you see, and again, it's not for them to tolerate or not. It's really it's your choice. I mean, you see, very often we kind of by default and the way we are brought up to see or to be wary of what other people think. But actually, the more you grow in life, to remember that it should not be the case. People come from another perspective, even it's family, it's different. So of course we can listen, we can. But you see, again, they are not in our shoes, like we are not in their shoes. So it's
yeah,
really about understanding. And as you said, you feel younger now, Frank, that you are doing this, and I can see you're doing really from your heart and you love what you do. And right, and this is your life. So and this is I said, if once you don't feel anymore like doing it, you can stop. But again, it has to be your decision.
exactly.
So
And then I'm going to get even with my children and I'm going to go visit them all the time. They'll get tired of seeing me.
Well, afterwards you can play this interview with them when when it's there. It will be so. Well, thank you so much, Frank. I really enjoyed it very much of a conversation. So, just to finish it off, if you could leave our listeners with like three tips about anything, like pieces of advice or with your experience, what
Three
would they
things.
be? Yeah, just three things.
Okay. I do believe that if you envision it, you can do it.
Mhm.
Uh, and the second thing is you can't do it alone. The more that you delegate, the more that you bring to your team to support you, the more effective you are. And it leaves you time for that third thing. You alluded to it, Daniel. I don't know if I have another 20 years or another 20 minutes. So I want to make sure that I have this time to savor and visit with you and whatever else I do today, add a little smile to people and benefit them. So if you can imagine it, you can do it. Don't try and do it alone. The more you delegate, the better it is. And take some time to enjoy it. There's a there's a bakery in my town that I try to avoid, but twice a year when I go there for breakfast, I order a chocolate eclair because it's the best chocolate eclair I've ever had. And so whenever I do, it just brings a smile to my face because this is the day I get a chocolate eclair. Uh, let's
Exactly.
have some fun while we're doing this trip.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing. And it's really about enjoying every moment of life. And, just as you said, having this smile. And the point you mentioned before as well is so important as well. It's, yes, we can't do this trip alone. And we need to surround us by good people, by like-minded people, by people who are going to uplift us, by people we are going to uplift. And
Yes,
if there are people in our lives, and they are sometimes, who are draining us down, draining our energy, we owe it to ourselves to take a bit of a distance there, just because it's really about everything in life is about energy, and we need to protect our energy.
I certainly agree.
Well, thank you so much again, Frank. I mean, this was so beautiful. And so, Frank, when people want to contact you, you mentioned, so obviously on the lines under the YouTube, there will be your names and contact details. But what's the easiest way to contact you, Frank?
The easiest way is on our website.
Yeah.
It's the company is Stratus Financial Partners because I wanted to be partners with people. So it's stratusfp.com.
Okay. Stratus
And
FP. Yeah.
from there, you can get to us by email or phone. Um, and while I'm on it, because you're such a good host and let me come and visit with you, Daniel, you can also go to stratusfp.com/free book.
Mhm.
And um, don't tell the publisher, but you can get the book for free. You don't have to go to Amazon and get it. It's titled How to Do a Proper Policy Review, No Beneficiaries Left Behind.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm sure our listeners will be delighted. And thank you for that, Frank. Again, it was a real pleasure to have you with us today. And to our listeners, thank you very much for being with us. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. It's about sharing and remember that life is to be enjoyed every moment of that. And it goes quickly. We've got only one life, so let's make sure we make the most of this. See you, everyone, at the next episode. Bye bye.
Thank you, Daniel.